Bell and the Members Show to the GMP Morning Show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Just attending to something. There are two kittens in the studio. Even if you're not very interested in Portugal, even if you don't like the show very much, I tell you, it's worth watching for at least the first few minutes to see what happens. Actually, for the whole 90 minutes. Look, there's one on the move behind me now. This is, well, I was talking about the chimp paradox last night. And as I understand it, I know it's loved and recommended by some people in this community. So I think I know a little bit about it. And oh dear, not the chimp, the kitten is eating the foliage. This could be very interesting this morning. And it's not the only one. There are two kittens in the studio this morning. And my chimp said, as I was thinking, I need to take the kittens out of the room now. I'm going to start the show. My chimp said, leave them in. What could possibly go wrong? Lots could possibly go wrong. And you'll find that if I have to move them from the studio, you'll find that if I've got trousers on or not this morning. So good morning to you. Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with Good Morning Portugal Show, live stream and podcast. It's worth telling your friends. Look, I know you're not in Portugal. I know you're not interested in coming to Portugal, but you need to watch this Good Morning Portugal guy this morning because he's got two kittens in the studio, one of which is already eating the foliage of his organic green screen behind him. When I started, I was turning off a phone. A cartoon had started, one of my kids' cartoons on YouTube, because the cat had stood on the phone and triggered off the video. I didn't know where the sound was coming from. They're moving around behind the scenes here. They're looking out the window. They're chewing plants as we speak, and they're hungry. It's almost like the Roman auditorium, isn't it? Like, this is entertainment. Don't give the cats breakfast. Wait for Mrs. M to do that and have the cats in the studio with you. Let's see what goes on. Yes, apologies first of all then to the god of dad jokes. Forgot this one yesterday. T-Duck brilliantly collates the dad jokes for us, and I forgot to include this one yesterday. I was desperately looking for it. Did you see their faces? Michael and Mark, they were determined, very good poker players, I suspect they would be. They were determined not to giggle at the dad jokes, and I wished I'd had this one at my disposal, which is, which church gives the congregation noodles instead of wafers for communion? That would be the Roman Catholics. Come on! Very, very good indeed. And I forgot also to show this visual dad joke, which is an absolute groaner. Oh, I need to have a quick sip of tea here. Sorry, I mean play the dad joke warning. Hold on.
Warning. Warning.
Oh, no! And we will have a round table. These are the Luke Skywalker variants of the Star Trek style of dad joke. We will have a round table where all the knights can sit equally. And who will build this round table, King Arthur? Circumference. Ay, ay, ay. I didn't play it yesterday, not because it's so awful. I genuinely forgot. So thank you very much for that. And it's true. The dawning realization is that those will never, they will never finish. They will just keep coming. It's worse than the end of the Terminator, so to speak, without wanting to spoil the movie for you. Everyone's seen the Terminator now, haven't they? T-Duck probably hasn't, by the way. So apologies for missing those yesterday. I hope that's got your day off to a cracking start this morning, and that you're glued to the screen watching what the kittens will do next. This morning, then, we have Fabrizio and Ian in their usual slot, and Alyson Sheldrake joining us as well with a preview of the August edition of Snapshot magazine. And I'm going to undo my top button. I'm getting a bit hot here. Have the cats knocked the temperature probe off the... No, that's still on there. They haven't knocked that off the studio table yet. It's 23 inside the studio and nearly 22 degrees outside here in San Martino de Porto. Lovely bright day. You can see the sun coming in on the plants that are still haven't been eaten yet by the kitten. And how's everyone doing this morning? So yeah, Ali to come at 9, Fabrizio and Ian to join us. Sorry, Ali at 9:30, Fabrizio and Ian joining us at 9 o'clock, and live from the Alentejo by phone. I can call. Okay, yes. I've just had a message from them. I'm just sending them the link because in their haste to leave Lisbon to avoid the papal busyness, they've gone to the seaside to Villanova de Milfonches, which is an absolutely fabulous Alentejano coastal resort. I don't know if you've been there. I have passed it, and I'm quite keen to go there and have been for many years now. Oh, as it turns out, well, we get to go there. We get to go there courtesy of Fabrizio and Ian this morning. I'm just sending them the link. They're going to try and join us by phone. So yeah, try that by phone. Okay, well, this is a first for them, and anyway, for our combo of having Fabrizio and Ian, who normally, of course, Project Lisboeta, joining us from their apartment in Lisbon this morning from the delightful Alentejano. I can't stop saying it like that now. Alentejo, coastal town of Villanova de Milfonches. We've got some lovely photos from them already and some video clips. We'll see what happens later on. And Ali, of course, as I said, at 9:30. That kitten's having so much fun behind me there. Oh, until the plant pot goes over. Were the wise men of the Gumpocalypse in early? They were 8 o'clock, 2 minutes to 8. We had Bon Dia Gumpers with Just James. I found a new rebasados. I know that really our what would it be called? Our preferred supplier of lozenges is, of course, Dr. Bayard. But once you get into the lozenge scene, the rebasados scene here in Portugal, you discover that they're made all over the country. And I found the Nazaré variant last night, which I need one of those now, although it would be rude to suck a sweet. Oh, what's going on in the garden? Dog. It's quite a wild morning. Kittens in the studio, dogs outside barking at something or other in the beautiful sunshine. They're barking at the sky. Dad joke warning then from James. He's relentless. No matter how much you push the envelope, it'll still be stationary. Oh my word! You see, dad jokes are educational. That's a learning, teachable moment, isn't it? With your kids. I know you're groaning, kids, but now let me tell you the difference between stationary with an E and stationary with an A. Very good. Thank you very much, James. T-Duck was in at bang on 8 o'clock this morning. Bon Dia Alegria Gumpers. Deep thoughts of the day today. Now, I screenshotted something. I've got a deep thought to share with you as well. From the man, actually, who really was very instrumental in me doing a live stream during COVID and this happening, the Good Morning Portugal happening. It's the OBG who does a show. I don't know. He's a British guy. I'm not sure if he's in UK or not, or somewhere else in Europe. But an amazing thinker, and loved what he did. Loved how he set up a home studio and just did a show about what he wanted to talk about. And I've got a deep thought to add to yours today from him, which I think is very interesting in these times of what seem to be polarity and difference. Certainly, well, that's part of these times anyway, isn't it? From Pope John Paul II. A deep thought today, carrying on with the papal theme. The Pope did touch down, of course, in Lisbon yesterday. And oh my goodness, did you see the welcome he got from the president? The Portuguese president, our president, has got an incredibly strong handshake. Do you remember when he had a shake-off, so to speak, with Donald Trump, which I think he won? Marcelo definitely won the sort of alpha male handshake battle. And he seemed to be using the same force and energy on the Pope yesterday. Pope was in a wheelchair being wheeled across the tarmac, met the Portuguese president. Portuguese president gets hold of his hands and he's shaking him inside the wheelchair. Anyway, this is Pope John Paul II, and not the one who's in Lisbon, Cascais, Portugal at the moment. Welcome, if you're listening, Your Majesty. No. Your Vaticanity. Freedom consists, not your holiness, I think, is the right approach, is it not? Nobody briefed me on that. I didn't get a press release. Freedom consists not in doing what we like, but in having the right to do what we ought. Excellent. Pope John Paul, born Carol Joseph Wojtyla, was head of the Catholic Church and sovereign of the Vatican City State. You see, that's part of the job as well, isn't it? It's its own country, isn't it? It's its own state, the Vatican. From 1978 until his death in 2005. In his youth, he was a stage actor. And you can say there are some transferable skills there, because there's a lot of pomp and ceremony, isn't there? Being the Pope and coming out onto the balcony and so on and waving at the crowd. Some good transferable skills from his earlier life. The Quem Sabia today. This is great. This was discovered in our discussion of the border, which of course is, if you didn't hear that on Learn About Portugal, it's called the stripe. And all the other words that were in the quiz are various, the Mirandese, the Spanish, the Portuguese, and there was one other language as well. All words for the stripe, which is the nickname given to the border between Portugal and Spain, variously by both Portuguese and Spain. You can see all the words for that at learnaboutportugal.com, which is one of our quiz questions last week. Fabrizio and Ian, we can see you. Fantastic. Yay! Excellent. We can see you there. That's wonderful. So it does work on your phone. Fantastic. See you in a bit. That's working nicely. Where was I? Yes, the stripe. The only incorrect answer was the Pirineo. The Portuguese, neither the Portuguese or the Spanish call the bit between Portugal and Spain, literally translated, the perineum. Couto Misto, then, we discovered when talking about the border, was an independent state along there. There was I think it's something like an 18-kilometer stretch of the border that's disputed and has been for 200 years. And nobody's that bothered about it, quite frankly. And there was also this place, Couto Misto, independent European microstate without access to the sea on the border between Portugal and Spain. It was composed of several villages, including Santiago de Rubias. As a result of complex medieval manorial relations, what are they? This land avoided Portuguese and Spanish control for centuries, operating as a sovereign state. Wow! Go, you Couto Mistans! Operating as a sovereign state in its own right until the Treaty of Lisbon in 1864, where they must have come to the attention of the government. Until the signing and entry of the treaty, each inhabitant freely elected Spanish or Portuguese nationality. Wow! They were not obliged to either nationality and chose for one, the other, or none. Well, wouldn't that make sense that all citizens do that one day and we're all on some big citizen blockchain and you choose the citizenship? I think with the digital means available to us, we don't need to be necessarily the nationality of where we're born or what is thrust upon us by our parents, right? We could have countries fighting for us, not us fighting for them, but us fighting for us. Say, come and be a citizen of this country. We'll give you these benefits. If you pay us tax, we'll give you these benefits wherever you are geographically located. How about that? Anyway, the option was exercised on the wedding day. What? Those who opted for Portugal drank a glass of wine to the health of the Portuguese king and inscribed the letter P at the door of the marital home. Wow, I'm a bit concerned now about the way this is heading. This sounds like a bit of division and separation right there, like humans seem to love to do. If they opted for Spain, however, they toasted the Spanish king and inscribed the letter G for Galicia. Oh, that was the other word for stripe, the Galician word for it as well. Raya tends to be, basically is the word for stripe and the nickname of the border. In the mid-19th century, authorities of both countries began to question their privileges. The inhabitants of Couto Misto had many rights and privileges, including self-government. I wonder if that's all it's cracked up to be. The right to bear arms. And they could also grant asylum to fugitives from Portuguese and Spanish justice. It sounds like it was a busy old place. And here it is, just to put it into context for you on the map. We've got, we've still got a little bit more to tell you about this. But let me just take that out of the way for the moment so you can see where it is on the border there. Interesting little shape there. It could almost lend itself to being a hooded cartoon character as well. So there, Rubias, Santiago, Meosh on the Spanish side. And the Treaty of Lisbon apparently divided the territory between Spain, which annexed most of the land, naughty, including the 3 villages, and Portugal, which was left with a smaller strip of uninhabited land. So maybe it's there and still up for grabs. Should we see if Philomena, who is the basically our touch point, a touch point, reference point of our quiz today. And the question today is about the Serra de Estrela mountain top and the restaurant that you can go to at the top of the tour there. She's taking a busload of people up there in September. Maybe she'll take us to Couto Misto one day and we can reclaim it and start the independent state of Gamparana or some similar new country where we can all just start a crazy cult. see what happens. But that was a big one. Nice big one this morning, T-Duck, and very interesting to find out about the separate state of Kutomishto and its various well, it's evolution over time, basically. What an amazing story! Thank you very much indeed for that. The Kane Sabia will be banked at Learn About Portugal, as they all are. So we're building up our treasury of lots of wonderful information and very diverse information, I have to say, about Portugal over there. Coach T also in. We're squirreling away those dad jokes. They're holy ones. There's papacy, there's frankincense, and Catholic marriages in there this morning. Stick around to the end and we'll have a listen to those. And lies we tell our kids. I was enjoying those. It's taking a hiatus, apparently. And hiatus, that sounds like a pharmaceutical drug in the United States, doesn't it? Wondering what to do, where to go, suffering from anxiety, try hiatus. Some side effects may contain sudden death, blah, 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 like you see when you're in the United States. But hiatus by Pfizer. Anyway, Lies We Tell Our Kids feature is taking a hiatus, the phenomenon, not the tablet, and we'll be back as dad jokes, morphing into more dad jokes, the more the merrier, literally, kind of. Bon dia, todos, bon dia, T-Duck, e todos, tudo bem. So, TD, training and coaching later, not at the same time, but dental hygienist this morning must, I guess. They can be brutal, can't they? Sometimes those dental hygienists getting in there with their what feel like pickaxes and water jets and this, that, and the other, doing that bit of the work. Which suddenly it all got sort of farmed out, didn't it? Contracted out to someone else. There were suddenly two people you needed to see at the dentist: the hygienist and the dentist as well. Very canny, aren't they, the old dentists? Not too bad here in Portugal, of course. God's God tip of the day then from the Coach Turner. If walking is your form of exercise, seems to be, Coach T. I've got Henry with me here, Henry and Nina, who I was a bit embarrassed. It was lovely to see them, our friends from the UK, and they allowed me to try their app, which has been a disaster from my point of view. I haven't been taking the medicine, as it were. I think we'll get Henry or Nina or both on tomorrow morning to talk about their PB Fitness app, which they're pioneering, basically a way of helping people stay in shape, take care of nutrition and so on via an app. They are PB Fitness in the United Kingdom. And as I got quite excited a few weeks ago about getting into better shape, which I have to say is not going terribly well. I don't think it's got any worse, but I seem to be quite stuck at 87 kilos and with my man boobs and little belly. And not a lot has happened with those so far. But Henry's here and he said, "How's it going, Carl?" And it's like with a knowing look. So I was a bit embarrassed about that, my own personal performance on there. But it might be that you want to give it a go. And I think they will be gifting some of those places on the app so that people from this community can try it out. Very, very kind of them to do so. And I'm hoping they'll be with me tomorrow morning to talk about that. And I need to get my act together with that as well. Maybe it'll help to have a few more other gumpers doing it as well. And we can do it together, so to speak. So if walking is your form of exercise, and the kittens are doing pretty well so far in the studio, I have to say, kitten check. Then you don't need to warm up. But for anything more strenuous, it's a good idea. Start gently with small movements, working the little muscles. Don't forget to work your little muscle. Feet and ankles. Oh, sorry, that was meant to say working the little muscles, feet and ankles, wrists and forearms, and head, shoulders, knees and toes. No, hold on. Feet and ankles, wrists and forearms, before gradually making larger movements. Who doesn't like a larger movement first thing in the morning? Introducing the larger muscles. They take longer to warm up, do the big ones. For an intensive workout, take 20 to 30 minutes to warm up. My goodness, it's so complicated, this exercise business. Moderate sessions will need less, as the exercise itself will be enough. But always listen to your body. And if something feels wrong, then stop and check it out. Enjoy. Carl, what are you doing slumped on the sofa? I'm listening to my body. Yeah, that's perfect. So I issued my apology to the god of dad jokes. I'm going to do this one more time for those who've just arrived. Which church gives the congregation noodles instead of wafers for communion? That will be the Ramen Catholics. Very, very good. Nunu's here this morning. How are you, Nunu? Good morning, everyone, says Nunu. And always happy to see you, says Just James to you, with a massive no this morning. T-Duck is in. Mr. S, are you of Spanish descent? Very observant, Mr. S. Very observant indeed. Andy Klein also in. How you doing? James, I'll be back. Yes, the Terminator, of course. This morning. Carl, would you like another visual joke for today? As the old comedian Jimmy Durante said, ha-cha-cha-cha-cha, I got a million of them. Yes. I'll say yes. Always glad to receive them. Sometimes they get overlooked, and it's not strategically or tactically. I can assure you, just in the hurly-burly and the melee, we sometimes forget them, but they always get carried forward, as all good dad jokes should be. Good dad jokes. Well, any dad jokes. They never die, do they? They are like the Terminator. They just keep coming. Bom dia todos, de Mon Carapacho, brilliant, Italiero. The Portuguese is going very well. Jean, how are you this morning? And Aviva is here as well. Ocean Dweller, how are you? Looking forward to some more blogging from you. And you're having a renovation going on in Madeira. Really keen to find out more about the island and your experience of it, Aviva. Thank you for being part of the community. Thank you for your support. Pamela as well. Great to see more of you, Pamela. Good to have you here. Sue too. Lee McGrady. Good morning, people, from Lee McGrady. And Coach Turner. We have a crazy cult already. True, but we haven't got our own country yet. Jess is here. Bon dia todos. And Douglas as well. Dougie, really nice of you to send me your wonderful article about your 10-year love affair with Portugal. We will attempt to squeeze that in this morning. If we don't, we will, of course, return to it like a dad joke almost. And I said I was going to share with you a deep thought of my own. Well, it's not of my own. It's one that I saw and thought I must share that as a deep thought. It's from the OBG. You don't have to disagree with me, says OBG. This is real deep thought stuff, I think. You just have to say what you think. And you know what? Yesterday, we had some deep thoughts at the meetup. Great to meet you, Alyson. Lovely to see you here. And lots of love and best wishes to you and Michael in your new life here in Portugal. Very good philosophical discussion yesterday. And more of it now on the show. You don't have to disagree with me, says the OPG. You just have to say what you think. I'm not right. I just have to say, I just have something to say. I say it. And you're welcome to join in the conversation. I think this is the spirit of the Good Morning Portugal show. When you say I disagree, then say what you think. You're basically claiming to know what's right, says the OPG. We're humans with stories to tell, nothing more. Some claim to have more advanced stories about how the world is, even though they can never know. Some just want to share their experiences. Others might want to share how they perceive the world. I gave up trying to be right a long time ago, says the OPG. I just say what I think or feel and hope we can have a discussion. How can you disagree with my experience or perception? He's a smart guy, the OBG. He's an inspiration to me. He got me started in the live streaming, and I always love to see his posts like that. That's the OBG show if you want to follow him on Facebook. Very good. Very, very good. More of that, please, OBG. Okay. Where do we get to? We've got Fabrizio and Ian are waiting to join us in the green room, the mobile green room, which happens to be in the Alentejo right now, over there on the beautiful coast. And I think they're not far, possibly, from where the beach scenes of Gloria were filmed. We shall find out in just a moment. I can set it up for you now. I can show you. So it's like a road trip, which begs the question: what do you like listening to? We haven't asked this question for a long time. If you're on a Portuguese road trip, one of the great things, isn't it, about being in the car, and you set up that's a nice straight road. It must have been a nice straight journey from Lisbon over to the Alentejo there. Love this picture. And it's always nice, isn't it, to be a little bit of a fly on the wall, sitting on the back seat virtually, listening to their music with them. It's Patrick Cowley. Diddle ding 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 ding. Diddle ding ding. Do you want to fuck with me? Yes, we do this morning. So what else was on their playlist, I wonder? And what's on yours when you take a little trip around Portugal? With me and Mrs. M, I like to put on jazz, soul, and funk until we get to a condition which is described as terminal jazz velocity, where Mrs. M just cannot take it anymore. You've heard her publicly criticizing my love of R&B. I'm just basically serenading her and getting a bit dirty and nasty with my R&B, hoping that she might get the message for when we arrive at our little love nest on our road trip, for example. But she has her fill of R&B, soul, funk, and jazz. And she wants to put on some 80s tunes, which I can cope with quite a lot of the 80s. I was there. I experienced it first time as a teenager. And I'm thinking, that's a pretty good 80s track. That's not so great. No, I can't have that. So that's our road trip music. What's yours? This picture from Fabrizio and Ian is very beautiful. I'm sure you'll agree. They probably stopped. Do you do this as well when you're on your road trip? We've got to stop here and take a photo. This is brilliant. There is an old wooden fence there, clearly not built for keeping livestock in or out there. I think just a nice little perimeter to stop people maybe going too close to the edge, but only in a token sort of way, because if you do want to climb over or through that fence, you can, clearly, and take a lovely picture of the Atlantic in this part of the Alentejo. And I said to them, this looks to me like Kraftwerk are now on tour in Portugal. That's a great picture, isn't it? Taking in the sunshine, getting a bit of vitamin D. I think they've parked up the car and gone for a little bit of a hike, judging by the backpacks here, and taking a fabulous selfie for us. So they are in the Alentejo. Let us know what goes on the music deck of your car when you're out and about on a road trip. Yeah, let us know what the soundtrack is. And Portugal playlist, we've got that, which I've now made part of the Learn About Portugal platform, where, of course, we have our daily quiz. And I'm going to share today's with you now before we speak to Fabrizio and Ian. So learnaboutportugal.com is where you go to do this. Oh, and in other news, there is Gen Expats, a group called Gen Expats. If you're proud of being part of the Gen X generation and you're in Portugal as a foreigner, immigrant, or expat, there is now Gen Expats. My first effort to join it last night, Tony Bryant, the Portuguese, recommended it to me because he wants to talk a bit more about that. And I thoroughly agree with him. It's a great idea. There is a Facebook group, Gen Expat, so we'll return to that. Oh, Camilla's here. Bon dia, Camilla from Windsurance. Anna C is also here. Hi, Anna, how are you doing? And Ruta also from Windsurance as well. Hello, Windsurance crew. Good to see you here this morning. And you can help them perhaps with this. If you like your Serra de Estrella cheese, you might be able to help us with the quiz question of the day before we speak to Fabrizio and Ian. Yesterday, there were a lot of people taking part in the Rules on the Road quiz. Today's mentions the trip that Filomena is making to the Serra Estrella mountain range here in Portugal. So Filomena's trip to the top, that's today's Learn About Portugal quiz for Thursday, the 3rd of August. On Sunday, the 24th of September, our very own Filomena will be hosting a tour to the Tor restaurant. See what I did there? Portugal's highest at 1993 meters above sea level. The visit, is that right? Is that how it's measured? Anyway, it is the highest. This visit will also take in Covilha's annual Parsnip Festival. The Serra da Estrela area is known for being Portugal's ski resort also, and also home of the renowned Serra da Estrela cheese. Which of the following accolades is not true in relation to this sheep cheese, which will no doubt be tasted on this Trips for Brits tour with Filomena? Other nationalities most welcome. It is included in the catalogue of endangered heritage foods named Ark of Taste, maintained by the Global Slow Movement, which I think came out of Italy. It boasts the protected designation of origin, the PDO classification in the European Union and UK. It has won gold and bronze medals in the World Cheese Awards. I bet that's fragrant, the World Cheese Awards. Its recipe dates back 2,000 years, and it can be tasted in the 17th century Serra da Estrela Cheese Palace. If you like cheese, the Serra da Estrela Cheese Palace is for you. If you're lactose intolerant, you might want to stay away just from the fumes of that cheesy palace. There you go. That's the Learn About Portugal quiz of today. Let's give them a big round of applause and bring them onto the screen. It is Fabrizio and Ian.
Morning. Good morning.
You're on tour and you're still managing to get yourself a nice coffee. Is that the Airbnb coffee machine?
No, it's actually some strange device that we got in Japan. It's got ground coffee, and then you put it on top of your cup, and then you pour water from the provided kettle.
Basically, and with a little paper cup to piss onto your cup.
Look at that.
It's your filter, yeah.
Yes. Well, no self-respecting Italian can be far away from their morning coffee, can they? So you found a way to do it.
No.
Yeah. And not always a kettle in an Airbnb in Portugal either, is there? So I'm guessing you're glad to find that.
It's one of a checklist, yes. Since we got the little device, yeah. Before it wasn't important, but now it is.
Okay. But how lovely, because we thought for a terrible moment, didn't we, that we wouldn't be able to talk to each other.
Yeah, because
it was one of those disastrous. We were kind of racing out to leave, and it was all quite funny actually because I arrived at the car, and just as I put the bag in the car, I realised that there's an extra zipper on the outside which hadn't zipped up, which had all the underwear in. So I was like, "Oh God!" I just walked from the flat to the car. So I was imagining, sort of Alice in Wonderland moment where I was trying to follow this trail of, follow the underwear trail back to the back to although luckily nothing fell out. And I'd also then realised on the way back to see if I could recover anything that wasn't really there. I'd forgotten my credit cards, but stupidly, of course, the third thing, things always come in threes. The third thing, obviously, but forgotten was the laptop, which had the laptop in.
But it seems to work quite all right with the mobile phone. I can't see anything. I can hear you. I can't see myself, which is a good thing. So it's cool.
Just talking into a little paperweight on the desk there, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
We can hear and see you, which is wonderful. So thank you. And you're in a bit of a rush, I think, to get out of Lisbon. It's pretty crazy what's going on there at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. The city's just very incredibly busy, and that was the point. It was just like, it's impossible to do anything. So I think us and everybody else probably left because by Monday morning, if you wanted a parking space, which is always a thing, it's almost impossible to find. Monday was perfect.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. So you got out.
It's rather busy, and there's a lot of people, let's say, and we left before the before the headliners kicked in. So
yes.
We left when the support groups was playing, and we left.
Before the main event. I don't know if you saw a president of Portugal greeting the Pope, but he really shook him. I mean, he's got a very firm handshake and a very keen and passionate way of greeting people, which he did to Donald Trump, which was hilarious to see. And he gave a pretty similar treatment to the Pope as well. So I think at some point there will be a video reel of the president of Portugal greeting various dignitaries and celebrities from around the world and basically shaking them on arrival. It's something they'll never forget when they come here. So you're out of town. You got out of town. Is this your go-to place if you do need to, get away from the busyness of the city? Is this a usual destination for you?
No, it's close enough to be practical.
Yeah, it's a couple of hours drive, so it's not too bad.
But no, it's not. We've been a few times, but it's not the go-to. Let's say it's not. We come here quite a few times because it's very close and it's could be quite very quiet. Now it's the first time that we're here in the first week in August, and it seems it's quite intense.
Yeah. It's not too bad.
But it's not that bad. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? About I don't know what it's like in Italy, but certainly, Ian, we know, don't we, in the UK, if everyone's going to the beach, you really know about it, don't you? From the traffic, from the parking, from defending your little bit where you eat your sandwiches with sand in. But in Portugal, even though we are in the holiday season, even here in San Martino de Porto, a very popular seaside town, it's not that bad, not that busy. It's a lovely buzz, actually. It's a great atmosphere on the beach, and you've got the guy coming past with his bolos de Belém, and people enjoying themselves. So it doesn't seem to ever get that busy. I think some of the Lisbon beaches might get a bit packed, but we are so lucky because we've got so much coast, haven't we?
Yeah. Well, in August, Lisbon beaches actually seems to get a lot quieter because everybody migrates south.
Yes,
So it's the best time to be in Lisbon, really, because you park your car literally by your home, and then you drive in 20 minutes. You're by the beach, and you arrive and you park straight in front of you. And there's no one on the beach, so it's just spectacular. Apart from this year, but I mean, it's not supposed to happen. It's not going to happen next year, too.
It won't be happening next year, probably. No. Apparently, the Pope appeared to be quite shaken by his encounter with everybody. It's nothing personal. Don't take it personally if ever you meet the president. He's just pleased to see you.
As soon as he recovers from the handshake.
Yes. It's really amazing. I don't know if the president even knows he's doing it. Maybe he gets a bit carried away and nervous, and that's why he does it. So there you are. Anyway, the funny thing about Villanova de Milfontes, which I think is basically roughly where you are, People have an idea, don't they, about the Alentejo as being like miles and miles of maybe cork oaks and agricultural land and vast plains. And you don't always think about it having a coast, which of course it does. And I think that was the Alentejo beach that was featured in Gloria. And I think it's very popular with Portuguese people as well, especially, but not not. You are Portuguese people now, aren't you? In huge part, as well as being Italian. UK, mais ou menos. Of course, that tells us that you are Portuguese. Just saying that, and so we have this coast of the Alentejo. Can you tell us a bit more about this lovely town and area?
I like Milfontes because it's quite big actually as a town. So there's a lot there. There's quite a few restaurants. There's the old town is very pretty. And you're right, because it's actually on the river. So you end up with two lots of beaches. You end up with the river beaches and you end up with the Atlantic beaches.
Yes.
Which makes it, I think, great for kids because there's a certain stretch of it where, there's no real current as such. You haven't got the massive waves that you get on the Atlantic, and then around the corner it's completely opposite.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, it's good. And because it's split across the river, you get two lots of beaches. So you get you get really, I suppose, what you call the town beaches, which are slightly more popular, but mainly on the river. And then either you can drive across, if you want, there's actually a boat that takes you across to the other big beaches on the Atlantic on the other side of the river, because again, it's quite a large river. So, and that takes it. And another one that I've noticed quite a lot of people do now, become very popular here, is they do paddle boarding up the river.
Yeah.
Oh, do they?
Nice and calm. So there's a couple of paddle boarding schools and things like that. So if anybody fancies trying it out, the way to go.
Yeah.
Will you be doing that?
The town is very pretty. There's churches. There's remaining on team, but like it's a look at and visit. And there's a lot of very beautiful buildings. It's very picturesque to walk around. Yeah. There's good ice cream, which is also a very good plus point. And it's on the Rota Vicentina, so you can walk from here to south part of the country, and it's a spectacular route where you do by foot. We haven't done it entirely, but we've done in chunks. The Rota Vicentina all the way down, and it's in Conselho di Odemira. Yeah, we are here. So
which is somewhere else if you're around. I mean, you can also visit. It's probably within about 20 minutes, half an hour drive. So there's quite a few bits.
And we're close to Porto Covo and Ilha de Pessegueiros, which is actually quite close to here. Very pretty. We wanted to take some photographs, but there was a sea mist that we couldn't see. I couldn't see Ian either, that it was close to me, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing.
It's very funny. We tried to do a video of the island. We tried to do a voiceover and tell you what it was, but it was so windy you couldn't hear a word I was saying. Yeah. So the first time I did it was perfect, and you could just about see through the mist the isle. It looked quite mysterious. And then by the time I got it right the second time, we realised actually the fog would come in. You couldn't see anything at all. So we were talking about this thing, and the island's like
and it was just a blank background. But it's a good googling.
Yeah,
Ilha de Pessegueiros.
Okay, very good. This is the starting point here. I've put the Wikipedia link for Vila Nova de Milfontes. I think it gets overlooked, doesn't it? Because people know the beaches of Lisbon and Caparica and that coast down there. And then it's like nothing else happens as far as the tourists go until you get to the Algarve. Very, very good. And it's also part, I think, of this N2 drive as well, isn't it? The Route 66. When you drive past Vila Nova de Milfontes on the old road, it's really authentic Portuguese vibe along there. The truck stops. Do you like those sort of places? The sort of traditional cafes and tashkas along the route there. Is it where do you like to eat in those?
We've done it before, I think. We didn't do it this time, but before when we travel further, we've often just stopped off at one of those. It's an easy stop if you're driving. Sometimes you're halfway along and you think, too late to get in there. When I get there, it's gonna be too late to eat.
Or we buy fruit from the people that sell it on the street, because
there's fruit vendors are along the road. Yes, August the month.
And the other time,
absolutely. So melons and oranges and all sorts along the route there. Maybe a bit late for oranges now. What I want to talk to you about the hiking then that you look like you were getting ready to do with that fabulous picture. That's from your forthcoming album with 80s covers on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a highly conceptual one. We cannot really talk about it now, but when it's time, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realise it wasn't.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right.
Okay, all right. So maybe that can be. Maybe people can just make a mental
But let's
note.
not talk about the album. Let's talk about the walk. Yeah.
What he really wants to move me on. They do not want to talk about this new album. I did try, folks. I did try, but that's more right. So this is the video you mentioned. So we'll talk about the hiking and not the album after the windy, foggy video here. So we've got a couple of clips. This is the first. That's beautiful, isn't it? And another one here. So there you go. A little bit of on the river estuary there. You're shielded from the worst excesses of the Atlantic. Why is he laughing? Why is he giggling?
Because there was the last 2 seconds of me doing my
workout.
Barishnikov.
Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't. What's the word? It was glitchy at my end, so to speak. So I wasn't. I will rewatch that later on and enjoy that myself. Okay, so hiking. I mean, some people see that and they think, okay, that's it. I'm getting my kit off. A little bit like a recreation of the scene outside your house with a trail of underwear and clothing down towards the beach, and they're happy to stay on the beach for the rest of the time that they're there at Villanova de Millefranche. Some people like a beach holiday like that. Sounds like you're the folks who might like a bit of that, but also maybe like a little bit of a hike and a walk around the place rather than just baking in the sun.
Yeah, a bit of both. Yeah.
So what sort of opportunities are there for hikers around there?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
What is the opportunity for hikers, and what can you do around the estuary in terms of having a little wander about with your backpack?
Well, it's quite a lot actually, because it is actually on the rota, so you can find the trails all marked to go all the way along that part of the coast. And actually, as you go further along, we haven't done this bit. We did the next bit down from here. And what's nice is you see across a lot of the beaches. So there's a lot of little like just cove beaches that some of them are accessible, some of them aren't. So if you are doing that bit of the hike, it's great. Yeah, you've got you are literally along the cliff top, going along the Atlantic.
Yeah. So we will strongly suggest that. More closer to town, I would suggest rather than get the boat there's a bridge that connects the two parts of town from here to the one opposite, which is and then walk on the river banks and then go all the way across and then turn around the corner and then you are on the Atlantic, and maybe from there, actually no, well, maybe not for sure, but then from there you can go up to the cliff and then continue the route Vicentino on the other thing, and then when you're heading up, just go back. I mean, you don't have to do. That's what is very good about the Rota Vicentino, is that you can park your car if you wish in different points, and then do that bit, and then come back to your car and walk for 2 or 3 hours, and then go back to your car, or just arrive on one end and then walk all the way down to the end of the Ruta Vicentino, all the way down to the. I don't know where does the. I think the Ruta Vicentino go through all the part of the Algarve.
Yeah, it does end at Sagres.
Sagres, I think, is the end of the Ruta Vicentino, and then get the train, get at the beginning of it, walk all the way down, backpack or with your tent or whatever you want to do, or your camping car, whatever you want to do, and then get the train back.
There are also, we have spoken to people, there are organised tours, so you actually spend like a week doing the whole walk. There are people that will organise it. So they drop you off at one point and then they organise all the stopping off points. I think some of it is either glamping or some of it is ordinary camping, depending on how much you want to spend, or sort of you can then do it in stages, because we made a couple once when we were in Tavira, didn't we? And they were just about to set off from Tavira and then do the walk all the way around the coast.
So the other way up.
Yeah, other way up and then coming up to here, ending up. I think they probably end up somewhere around here.
Yeah.
So it's basically a pilgrimage walking route, and this part can take you all the way down to the Algarve. It just sounds wonderful, and lesser known than the Santiago de Compostela and the pilgrimage to Fatima and so on. This is a more distant cousin, but no, I mean perhaps more beautiful, because I've noticed with the Fatima walk there are people walking along motorways and dual carriageways.
Yes, so did that. Yeah, it's true, because before knowing the scene, the Camino de Santiago, I read the book. It was by Paulo Coelho,
right? And
it sounded like an incredible mystical walk, and so I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Yeah, we haven't done it there because we're not that devout, I will say. So, but we stopped in a few part of this Camino de Compostela towards Santiago de Compostela. We stopped at many years ago. Very beautiful place, but we stopped, and there's motorways. We were crossing motorways, and so it's not that much. When this walk is actually an incredible landscape all the way through.
Yeah.
Probably less mystical than that, but
and dramatic too, because that's part of the walk, isn't it? It's the contemplation, not only what's going on inside yourself as you set about this long walk and perhaps walk all day, and you've got time to reflect. But you've got the Alentejo, haven't you? You've got this vast vista. If you're heading south, to your right, the open seas, which is such an inspiring landscape, and no doubt to the left. Looking towards the east, you see the open plains of the Alentejo as well from time to time. So that sounds wonderful. Wasn't expecting to find out about that this morning. So a nice option for people, and an alternative to walking along motorways in a high-vis jacket and taking your life in your hands in certain parts of central Portugal. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. That's wonderful there. And we've got a few messages coming in this morning. Do share. People have been a bit tight with their recollections or their sharing about the road trip music. I want to find out a bit more about your playlist, gentlemen, as well this morning. We have this in from James, who's got a complaint. Oh yeah, because I want to ask you about food in the Alentejo, and whether you've had the pork and clams and what sort of wine you're drinking. Well, this is James. Apparently, my facial expression regarding the chips crisps I got instead of chips fries. That is a bit of a difficult moment. There's a slight pang of entitlement there, James, I think possibly. But you're not one to complain, and we might pick that up on Monday. But yes, patatas fritas, you need to be a little bit careful when ordering those here in Portugal. Sometimes you might get chipsticks. Sometimes you might get potato chips. And then it gets even more complicated because the English and the Americans call them different things. But sorry to hear about your difficulties in that regard there, James. We also have a full moon. Oh, I bet that's lovely over the sea at the moment, because you've got a nice big full moon to look at Villanova de Milfontes in the evenings. This one from Suze in central Portugal. I don't know how far you are from the pilgrimage walks there, Suze. A full moon in Vargea de Meruja there in central Portugal. Very beautiful. And Pam, great to have you on the show again, Pam. We have this from you, which is a ReFood Stop Waste Feed People open day with which Pam is involved. Come along and find out about the work we do and how you can help in just 2 hours a week. I think there's a sampling menu of donuts, broccoli, and cucumber. I know which one I'll be going for there. And that's in Alcobaça, in association with Alcobaça International. And Alcobaça, of course, getting ready at the moment to host a big music event, and headliners there are Juntos e Pontaps, basically the Rolling Stones of Portugal will be playing. Well loved, much loved. I know Philomena loves Juntos e Pontaps. They are playing in Alcobaça soon. So thank you very much for those contributions on 913-590-303. We have the amazing Fabrizio and Ian joining us with their excellent portrait here, looking out over the sea at the sun there, and telling us about their time here at the moment in Villanova de Milfontes. Food, then, an important part of Portuguese life. What's to be sampled and enjoyed at in the Alentejo and particularly in Vila Nova de Milfontes?
Well,
chips.
The one Pizzo doesn't like.
We had the pork with clam, which is kind of the pork alentejana, which is pork cooked with clams. Very good, very good. I don't like clams, so I had just the pork.
Right.
They stole all my pork and I end up with the clams.
No, it tastes delicious, but I don't do any sort of shellfish. I just don't like the texture and all the other stuff. Well, I'm probably the wrongest part of the world for that. Yeah.
Yes.
And yesterday we had oven roasted pork pocheches, which is pork chicks.
Yeah.
With chicken. Very good. But the wine that we drank, we had the house wine in Jarro.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, we cannot really say what we was, but it was good.
Right.
With that kind of drink. Yeah. And yeah, but I guess there's migas like you can have in the rest of Alentejo. We suggest a sorda in the Alentejo, which is different from a sorda that we eat in the either in the center or the south,
right,
or the north, because here is a soup, a very watery soup with an egg and some bread, a lot of garlic, a bit of vinegar. And cointros. Cointros is
the coriander.
Coriander. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's delicious. So it's quite unique. It's a very I would say pool dish of the tradition of the pool, which in every sort of
it's agricultural land as well.
Yeah, in every cuisine seems to be the best thing, the best options that you can possibly go for. It's the food that comes from using your head to create some meal.
Out of leftovers and yeah. So those two classic Portuguese archetypal dishes, migas, interpreted in a particular Alentejano way, and a sorda, which, I mean, there's no other way of putting it, really. I mean, it's just leftover bread, isn't it? Turned into something a bit
with the neck.
But it sounds like the Alentejo version is a little bit more watery and lending itself more to the soup end of the spectrum than porridge, which it sometimes looks like.
Yeah, it looks like a sort of bready, watery, garlicky ramen without noodles, but bread.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. And is there a bit of theatre involved? Because the first time I had a sorda, I think it was in Nazaré, and I ordered it, and I ordered it because it had shrimps in it, and I was thinking that sounds interesting because the Nazaré one had some shrimps in, and it was one of those moments where sometimes waiters do a little bit of theatre at your table, whether it's a Chinese waiter doing the Peking duck for you. Or I don't know, or setting fire to something, or doing something like that, which is a bit of a special moment. And it came and it looked pretty. Maybe that's why they do it, because it looked pretty uninspiring. Basically, a bowl of old bread turned into a porridgey looking thing. But I think the guy cracked the egg in there, seasoned it in front of me, and then did a kind of flourish with the cutlery and mixed it all up for me. It's like, voila! I present to you a sorda. So does that happen in the Alentejo as well?
No, because it comes in already in a small bowl, and it's mostly water.
Yes.
And then the egg floats into it, so you just There's not that one is a texture of porridge, the one that we that you encounter most places. But this one is as it is in a small cup, and then you just break it and eat it as a soup. It's a smaller dish rather than the assorda, the other one that you can feed. A full family.
Yep. Okay. So lovely to hear about how these things are interpreted around the country. And the migas, that's again bread based, isn't it? With some some cabbage and some seasoning. Anything specific to say about that and the Alentejo version of migas?
In my opinion, they're probably the best because they I would just say I'm gonna sound very poncy now, but they're like a quenelle. Like a quenelle is like
I
You
don't
know,
know.
a shape that it's a bit turby, but
Quenelle
but
is
it's
something.
absolutely.
Hold on a minute. A quenelle is something Brummies say when they make a mistake, isn't it? Quenelle. What is a quenelle? What is a
A
quenelle?
quenelle is something that if you get a spoon with something on top, and then you get another spoon on top of it, and then you just keep doing that, it takes that sort of shape as I was to say.
Did you just say a turdy shape?
A little bit shorter.
It does sound a bit
shorter with a point, 2 pointy ends.
Of doing food reviews.
No, I won't. No, it's not a job for me.
Right.
But they're very good because they're very tasty and quite dry, and it's just like it can easily be eaten on its own or as a side for other things. So I really really strongly suggest. But the classic is once again garlic, a lot of parsley, salt, bread and water again.
Yeah,
brilliant.
I think like the main stuff is much more from the countryside as well. You know, that's the point. So you are by the Atlantic, but you don't see as many fish dishes. You know, whatever fish you see is just grilled fish or whatever. You know, so that's it's more the traditional side there. The actual Alentejo.
It's all about the pork in the Alentejo, isn't it? Okay, so we will welcome Ali on in just a moment to preview the August edition of Snapshot. Snapshot magazine. I think it says Snapchat there. I bet people do say that. Not entitled, says James. Just a bit surprised and disappointed. It took me a whole 30 seconds to get over it. That's my man. 30 seconds to get over adversity, and he shows us how to do that every Monday morning. But there was his face for that 30 seconds with the fries chips debacle that he experienced recently. He had a comment about Ericeira as well, which I think gets quite busy, talking of the action in coastal towns. August, we're in that season now, aren't we, where it's getting busy for sure at the Portuguese coastal towns. And also we've got Wayne's in as well. Bon dia todos. Smash that laugh button, says T-Duck. A little bit of a reminder there. Cilantro in the US. Cheers, James. Cointro. I think Ali, I remember having a conversation with Ali about even me saying coriander now is making her squirm in the green room.
Really?
And funnily enough, Henry, who's staying with us at the moment as well, has a massive aversion. He's one of those people who, in their DNA, when they eat coriander, it actually tastes like soap. And I think it's the same for Ali. We'll find out in just a moment. And Alentejo's speciality, cheers, Antonio F. You're with us this morning as well, is the porco preto, the black pig as well, which well try before they leave that area. So music on the deck. You don't necessarily want to be in the car with somebody who's had migash for lunch, but if you are, and you're playing Do You Want to Funk by Patrick Kelly as you get on the road, this is part of your playlist for the Alentejo. What else are you playing, fellas? I'd like to know.
This is not part of our playlist. This is the song of this particular summer. It's played every time we get into the car, at least once.
Really? It's kind of haunting you on Portuguese radio.
Yes. Because we watched a documentary on Sylvester or Patrick Cowley, and then Do You Want to Funk was played there, and it was incredible. Anyway, in our play, it's not only there. In our playlist, there's a lot of Bowie. Yeah. There's quite a bit of Shaka Khan. There's
yes.
What is in our playlist?
Well, we've gone through a little bit of an 80s session as well, I have to say. We even did a bit of vintage Madonna yesterday.
We did a vintage Madonna yesterday, the first album. We did that. And then what do we play? We play the Floyds at times, and then last year song of last year's summer was Acid Queen by Tina Turner and The Who. When we want to sing, we play the full Rocky Horror Picture Show from the first one to the last one, and we play it. We also have the version without any singing. So we've got
a karaoke version of a Rocky Horror Show that you can sing in the car.
Yeah, and we don't need any words, anything else. We know the first to the last one is including the spoken bit. We know it all.
Why didn't we get any video of that? We want to see that next time.
We will do that.
All right, that sounds great.
It's quite long, so I open a request to choose one tune of the full Rocky Horror Picture Show, and we will do it. Yeah.
All right, Rocky Horror Show fans, you heard it here on the Good Morning Portugal show. We have Fabrizio and Ian, who will perform a classic from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Maybe even dressed up if it gets to it.
Yes, and it will not be lip sync, and we will not rehearse. We do it on the night.
I love it. Okay, perfect. Get those requests coming in. Fantastic. Let's bring Ali onto the screen, who might have a Rocky Horror Show classic favorite as well. I'm wondering. She's liking the idea by the look of it. Let me make some room on the screen first, because it gets a bit crowded here with all that furniture on the screen as well. Let's give her a nice big round of applause. Good morning, Ali. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm very well, thank you. Morning, everybody.
Morning.
So good to see you. And yes, coriander, not for you.
Oh, seriously, no. I can't. I can even tell. You know when you buy those mixed herbs kind of packs? They tried to cook with one night, and I literally took one mouthful of this meal and went, it's got coriander in it. Can't eat it. And he goes, don't be silly, there's no coriander in there. And we literally went down the ingredients, and the final ingredient, I think it was like 2%, was
forensic levels of coriander.
Oh, I can't.
Or homeopathic coriander. Still can't get that past you.
You won't get anything near me. Even the smell. I meet a friend for coffee every morning, and I walk Zara, and she runs the market stall in town with all the fresh fruit and vegetables. So every morning she's usually got some boxes sat outside, and the other morning she had huge bundles of coriander sat there, and they were literally a good 50 meters away from me, and I'm sat there going, there's coriander over there, isn't there? She goes, how do you? I said, I can smell it from here. It's just, I can't.
And you have that experience that the taste of it is like soap. That's how it is for some people, isn't it? That's incredible.
Yes, apparently. I don't know, that's quite a small percentage of the population, but yeah, if we go anywhere near coriander, it's soap, and it's just. Dave tried to explain what it tasted like to him one day, and I went, it tastes like that for me, mate.
Not getting that. It's so funny. A friend Henry is staying with us, and he's exactly the same. You are the two people in my life who happen to be in the house and on the screen at the moment. It's quite incredible. So how's it going? Do you ever get up as far north as Villeneuve de Milfonche? Have you been there? We've been talking about the places.
We love it up there. That's probably the furthest north we'd go for, like just an afternoon or a drive or a new beach to go and explore, particularly in the winter. But yeah, Villanova we love around there. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, there's so many little coves to explore as well, and tiny little beaches just below that are. Dave knows all of them because obviously he goes out and photographs them. But we love it around there. It's lovely. It
sounds like the classic. If you're fond of sand dunes and salty air, it sounds like one of those little quaint little villages here and there, but we've got those all over Portugal, aren't we lucky? And for you, the journey time from the Algarve up to there, is that another couple of hours as it is for Fabrizio and Ian from Lisbon?
Oh no, because we're virtually on the Alentejo border. We're only about 10 kilometers from the border in Algarve, so we're quite literally. If you look at the map of the Algarve, Algarve is sort of west coast, but it's that far off Alentejo. So within about 10 kilometers, we're up in just literally crossing the border to the Alentejo. So we're not that far really from it. So Villanova's probably 40 minutes, something like that away. Yeah.
I didn't realise. Yeah, in my mind, I have the Alentejo as this massive area that gets in the way of getting to the Algarve, which is a very bad review of the place. But if you are trying to get to the Algarve, it's like, come on, Alentejo, we've been here now for an hour. And now 2 hours. Okay, I've seen
the fields. It's lovely. Right. Yeah. We go up to the Lidl and the Aldi, which are at South Antonio. So we shop north, if you like. We don't go south. We tend to go north. So
right.
Actually, the sad part of that trip down, because it's true, when you go the motorway, the Alentejo looks really uninteresting. The motorway cutting across always looks very bad. But actually, if you go sort of coastal road, or you go on the road not on the motorway, it's beautiful.
If you go in the spring is the best time for me. I mean, the fields are just full of flowers and poppies, and you've got all the sheep and all the baby kind of animals that are literally just cropping up everywhere. It's beautiful, and you literally can turn off into any tiny little village, and grab a coffee in the cafe and just meet some local people. And we love it. Yeah, it's a really nice place.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this! Look, we've got a third person now. This is
Yeah,
a small part of the population, I think. But coriander tastes like soap to me too, says Pam. We've almost got a support group here. That's the favourite meat of the Alentejo, the Porco Preto. First time here in August, says Suze, preferring the weather. Cool of 16 now in Central. That's amazing. Will be 27, however, yeah, by 1600, and only for an hour till cooling begins again. Getting used to the temperatures in August. Is Suze was in Algarve on Sunday morning. Victoria, how are you doing? We're going to be looking at Snapshot, Victoria, so stick around. Is it getting busy in the Algarve, Ali?
Yeah, the main Algarve, yes, and hotter, definitely. I mean, Dave goes down and does quite a lot of work down there. So he will regularly leave Algarve, and it will be about 23, 24 on the car, and he'll get to Lagos or Portimao 40 minutes later, and it's 31, 32, 34.
Wow.
It's quite a difference. But yeah, I have to admit, I love where we live now because I know quite a few little hidden beaches that might have 6 or 7 people on them, even in August. You just know where to go, really, with where the locals go. So the main beaches, yeah, they're going to be busy, of course. But,
all right. And you might find out about these secret beaches of the Sheldrakes in Snapshot here, which you have a very special, love this moment of the month, where we have our very special preview of the newsletter, or the newsletter that thinks it's a magazine, basically. How many pages this month, Ali?
Oh gosh, you caught me now. 100 and
is that all?
114. I had to look for a minute. I had to get the big one out to look.
That's quite the newsletter, and a visual feast to boot as well. Who's this handsome fellow on the cover?
Oh, it's our favourite time of year. I know you get medieval festivals all over Portugal, but for us, Silvish one is really special. It's the most amazing 10, 11 days every year in August, where the whole of Silvish is just transformed. And I think because it's one of the oldest towns in the Algarve and it has such a great history from, right back Roman times through the Muslim era, you've got that sense that all they do is take it back to where it belongs almost, because Silves, the little medieval streets. And it's for me, it's the biggest and one of the best festivals here because they just transform the whole town. And you get, not only do you get all of the main events where you can go and watch like the horse riding and, the main kind of theatre events that happen, and they transform the castle. You can go and dine and dress up and be in the castle as well. But it's the little moments for me. It's the tiny street corners where there's just somebody juggling, or there's 3 musicians just playing music. And the costumes, I mean, the actors, a lot of them now are professional actors that come down from the north for the event. But Dave's got, we've been going for so many years. Dave's got to know a lot of the actors. So he turns up with his camera. They know that he'll send them copies of the photos he's taken. They know he'll take a good photo of them. So they just clamor around him and go, me, next, me. No, I'm ready. I've got my costume on. And he tries to catch people almost before the event starts, because I think it's quieter. The lights better. So he every year takes his camera there, and I lose him for about 10 nights. It's fine.
Well, here we have a stunning looking falconer here, looking right into your soul. It's a brilliant picture of this gentleman here, and more. Hey, look at these. So these are the folks you're talking about, the actors who are doing the medieval circuit, Silvish currently. These are fabulous portraits, are they? No wonder they want Dave to take these pictures. Beautiful.
They're lovely. They're just so
I think they're
evocative.
beautiful. Yeah. Oh, they're
Look
fantastic.
at these.
There you go. Just for you guys.
Yeah. How lovely. And chainmail. A chainmail. I mean, that is a stunning look, isn't it? If you turn up at a dinner party with that on your head. That's got to be hot as well, isn't it? I mean, you want to be keeping out of direct sunlight with that, I would have thought. I mean, it's very good in a fight, but not so good at a social event.
Yeah, I always, every year I look, because Silvish, I think it's one of the hottest places on the Algarve because it's in an almost bowl-shaped part of the landscape. Yeah. So the heat stays down there. It doesn't dissipate very quickly. And of course, it starts, I think 6 o'clock every evening is the start of the parade. So it's still really hot then. And they go through till midnight, 1 in the morning. But they're wearing those costumes all evening in the heat. It must. Some of them. I mean, the guy on the left there, you can see he's all right. He's not got a lot on the top half.
He's
But
wisely chosen to be basically stripped down and have the masquerade, which looks like it's made out of an old bit of hide or something like that, doesn't it? Although
I think it's metal. It's metal, which will be hot. I mean, they're amazing. But the costumes are wonderful. I love it.
Well, I think the man on the right needs a squirt of WD-40 before he goes to bed of an evening as well, doesn't he? Just keep it. I would. So let's have a look then at your next page here in Snapshot magazine. We're previewing the August edition and your latest work, Ali. Where have you been? More chic, I think.
Yeah, Monchique. Well, the one on the left is Senora de Rocha. It's one of the most iconic images right down on the Algarve, sort of near Lagoa. It's a beautiful old chapel. I'm not sure if you can actually get married in the chapel now, but I know a lot of weddings happen around and the vicinity of it. But it's almost etched. The whole cliffside is like a piece of birthday or wedding cake.
It does look like a cake.
Yes. It's perched right in the island. How much longer it will last, because those rocks are crumbling. But it's the most beautiful, iconic. I've painted it several times, but this is the first time I've taken the right-hand side and come across and put some of the beach that's below on there as well. So, but it's beautiful, it's stunning. And they're Monchique. I picked out, especially, you can just see him on the left near the front there. Yes. There's some wonderful statues. And I managed to find out all the details of who the artist, sculpture, Portuguese guy is that actually makes them, because there's a whole set down in the town as well, where they're all sat around. There's a little lad with a cap on feeding the birds with a little pigeon by him. So it's the same sculptor. But halfway down on one of the main iconic streets, which is all steps all the way down to the square, is this wonderful statue of a man, and he's just stood as if he's just admiring the view. It's wonderful. So I thought I hadn't painted that one before. So it took me about 3 weeks. All those doors and windows by the end, my eyes by the end were like, there's
some intricate work going on there. And you mentioned David Bowie before, Fabrizio. That looks like the thin white Duke standing there in the streets of Monchique. Reminds me. I mean, we see this around Portugal, don't we? A lot of bronzes. And they're not like on plinths necessarily. They'll be like in a very interesting, charming composition in the street like this. Somebody standing on a pavement or sat on a bench. And where were we? I can't remember the name of the town now in central Portugal. But there was a little, almost like a family of bronzes, and one of them, the child of this bronze collection, was a similar height to our 4-year-old. And we said, look, I just want to take a photo of you. Just stand next to the little bronze guy here. I want to look him in the eye. And then our little Solomon licks the face of this statue. Oh. And he thought I said lick him in the eye rather than look him in the eye. And so, we had to give his tongue a wipe with a wet wipe, because you don't really want to be licking a bronze statue. Well, whatever floats your boat, I guess. Right. So be very clear, parents, when giving instructions. Yes. Right. The free spirit photographer. Who's this?
Yeah, we're really pleased. Dave's got a new business partner. Believe it or not, another retired Devon and Cornwall police officer arrived in the Algarve, camera in hand, ready to start work. So he's called Scott Rothney. And the good thing for Dave is he's a whiz with drone and video work, which has never been Dave's thing. So we get lots of people ask, can you do drone or can you do video as well? So now we can offer both. So they've joined forces for all their property photography work together. Great. Really nice guy. So watch out. We've been thinking of business names. I thought of some silly ones. They've gone with Algarve property photography, which I think is quite boring.
That's what it says on the tin, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So nice guy. They're gonna work well together. It's good.
And a Devon lad, all that newfangled drone photography there. Then that's great. Brilliant. All right. And Zara's new summer cut as well. She knows how to pose for a photo, but she would do that, right?
She's amazing, actually, Dave. Because when we had Kat, bless her, if Dave got his camera out, she'd just put her head down, hide. You'd never get her eyes. You'd never get her face beautifully in focus. It took ages. This one, however, little madam, we get the camera out and we just go sit and wait, and she's like, me, take this side, don't forget this side, more over here.
But this is my best side. Fantastic, there she is, and that's the summer trim. Brilliant. And we are Lucky the Ladybird. Can you tell us the story of Lucky the Ladybird, please? And also, yes, we want some guesses, don't we, about this creature on the left of the screen as well. If you want to have a quick look at your screen and tell us what the animal is on the left. But Lucky the Ladybird, what, seen before you boiled the broccoli?
I can't actually believe this because I literally, Dave's the chef in our house, so you've probably worked that one out by now. But I'm allowed to chop vegetables and things. So I'm there busy chopping the broccoli up, ready to put in the pan. And all of a sudden, you quite have to get, our neighbours give us vegetables and we rinse those really well. But this was from the supermarket. So other than me chopping it and then a quick run under the tap, it's ready to cook. And I suddenly just saw a bit of movement and I'm thinking, okay, well, peel away the broccoli florets a little bit. And there is this ladybird, which initially I just thought, oh, poor thing. And then hang on a minute, it's moving, it's walking, it's still alive. So we literally took it out into the garden, put it on a leaf. And the next afternoon, it's still in our garden. I can't believe it. It's so it survived being, harvested. It got then taken to the supermarket. It then got probably shipped in, into big containers that are refrigerated. It then got put in the supermarket, bagged up, brought home, missed my knife by a few millimeters, and is still alive. So
it's a Disney movie in the making for sure. One of those old, like The Incredible Journey. The story of Lucky the Ladybird in cinemas from the fall. Okay, and this creature on the left, then, what are we looking at here? I don't think I've seen one of those in Portugal.
Yeah, come on, Fabio and Ian. Any idea what I found on a walk one morning?
We're looking at this on our phone, and we have to really go.
I'm zooming in. That's as big as I can make it. As the actress. Right.
Well, she's not pretty.
No, and she was quite big as well, with a very long tail.
All right. No, I don't know. But I won't adopt it.
I couldn't. I literally, if I hadn't, luckily I met a neighbour on the walk who's a local and he knows his wildlife. And I just literally had just seen it. So I described it well enough that he went, that's a sakurabu. And I'm like, okay, I'm taking that Portuguese name home. I'm Googling it when I get back for a translate. Right, you ready for what it is?
Yeah.
An Egyptian mongoose.
Oh, knew it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, she sounds more exotic than what she looks like.
Yes.
It's fabulous.
Her name is more fascinating than her appearance, but that happens with a lot of things.
Well, I was thrown. I wasn't sure if it was the Egyptian or Persian mongoose, personally. But yeah,
I'm still Babylonian.
No, it's amazing. The teeth on it were incredible. We literally got within about 25 meters, if not closer. Luckily, Zara decided to stop still as well. And we both just stood there. This thing's looking at us. And then it just ran off. We've got a big section of the river walks are bamboo. It's almost arched. It's amazing. And it shot him in there. But I looked it up and I can't believe it. It will eat all sorts. It will even eat wild boar. But funnily enough, I've had a couple of pigeons that we never normally see a dead pigeon on the path. But there's been quite a couple of pigeons over the last couple of days, and they literally have been taken to pieces. So there's a wing over here and there's heads over there, which is very unusual. So I think this one's busy eating away. But
that's the problem, isn't it? The mongoose, no laughing matter if you're a poultry keeper. These will come in and steal your chickens and ducks and whatever, won't they? So quite the creature, and amazing to capture it in that way. Johnny is in, very beautiful, characteristic images. Congrats from Johnny. He's also a photographer, I believe. And Doug tells us Silvis used to be the capital of the Algarve until the river silted up and it was no longer navigable. We're working our way through my very special copy of Snapshot magazine, which is my own preview that Ali very kindly makes for us to have a look through every month. Give a dog a home. This is Garber. We have a little look. This is the habit we've got into now, isn't it? Have a look at a cute dog who needs a home at the moment, and this would be Garber today, right, Ali?
Yeah, she's lovely, isn't she? That sadly, her and her sister were found running in Rochelle, but the owner was terminally ill, no longer wanted them, so she's ended up at the shelter with her sister. But beautiful looking dog. Those ears are wonderful, aren't they? Look at those ears sticking out.
Nice ears. A Portuguese looking dog, I've got to say, as well, like my Jimmy Choo here. And I have to say, we've got two kittens in the studio here. And I thought there was going to be a lot of good value to be had from these kittens, that we'd get a whole load of new viewers who love cat videos, and that they would be in the foliage. One of them was eating the greens behind me earlier on, but then both now fast asleep, loving the vibes in the studio this morning. That could change at any minute because they do walk across the keyboard. They tread on the sound effects and that sort of thing, but they're purring and sleeping quietly on the desk at the moment in front of me. If you can offer Garber a home, how do people do this? Do they email Kerry? Is that how it works?
Yeah, or they can contact me. I can put them in touch as well. But AISA is the local shelter for Algarve. But I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Everywhere across Portugal, there are shelters with dogs that need a home. We just try and pick one every month and put the details forward.
All right. And she's a kind of medium-sized creature there, isn't she?
She's not very old. They think she was born January, so she's only about 7-8 months old. So she'll grow a bit bigger. They've got to predict. What they tend to do is they're quite good. They predict on this one this month. They predicted her to be 27 kilograms large when she's fully grown.
Well, they'll have seen a lot of dogs.
Tell by the paws that she's going to be quite about a good medium to size.
Yes.
But...
Okay, there you go. And something to eat here. I'm liking the look of this. The look at those lovely bronze fried patanishkas there. The Portuguese.
Very good.
Yeah, I like those. They look good with a squeeze of lemon on them. And this is bacalhau is in here, right? This is a good way to eat bacalhau. If you're not ready for bacalhau brush full on as a whole dish, you can start with a little petisco version here, can't you? The fritters here. Do you eat these, Ali? Would this work for you?
I can't eat them now because obviously the batter around them. I can eat the fish, but I have such a limited diet, so I can eat bacalhau as long as it doesn't have a lot else put with it. So I wouldn't be able to manage that one. But dear Ivan, every month from Relish Portugal sends us the recipes. So
how's she doing? I haven't spoken to her for quite a while, but is she doing okay?
Yes, she's fine. She was travelling last night. I think she's probably back now, but she went off exploring a little bit around Europe and she's coming back.
Do subscribe. It's the Foodie Magazine of Portugal, Relish Magazine, Ivan, the editor. And this is from a range. We could almost have a cut out and keep series, couldn't you, with the petiscos of Portugal, the lovely little snacks that you see. Great, she says, with an ice cold sagres or super bock, you might have to make the rounds in search of your favorite patanishka or create your own little delicious large spread at home. Very good. Quite mouth-watering there. Who's this?
I know. Well, yes, that's me from a very long time ago. It's scary, isn't it? When you look back at pictures of yourself and think, oh, I looked so young then, didn't I? But
you do. But I've got to ask
you. But that's fantastic. It's a bit of a Cagney and Lacey vibe there.
With Shelley on the other side. Yeah, we could have teamed up well.
Yeah.
And did they use the same photographer as they did for the mugshots? I mean, it's a very formal, isn't it, Ali? That they is it the same?
Yes, I think it was. I mean, we're going back. I joined in '93, so we're talking a while ago now. So I served for 13 years. Dave did his full. Well, he did 31, but I did 13 in Escape. But the story behind the picture, the only reason I shared it, if you've read Cat the Dog. There's a point in there where I talked to Kat about the other dogs that I'd had in my life. And when I first was in the police in Cornwall, we had a rescue dog called Minstrel, who was a cross kind of collie with a lot. I thought just a normal, regular rescue dog until my first husband, he was heading away, packed the car up, put stuff in the boot. And I literally just, you kind of do that where you kneel forward a bit and you just hold the collar of the dog to stop them while, he's loading the car up.
Yeah.
It must have triggered something. The dog must have been abandoned. And literally the sight of a car being packed in the boot with him thinking we were both leaving. He just turned and snapped, but he literally caught my whole face. So I literally had the dog literally hanging off my cheek.
No.
Which was awful. So the picture there is me literally about 10 days later, because I was literally a week before I joined the police. And I had 17 stitches. You can see all the tape under my eyes. And all the marks still. Yeah. So I was I must have looked quite scary as a police officer when I first
I'll come quietly. Yes.
What happened to the last guy? Yeah, that kind of thing.
What happened to the last guy? Absolutely.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. They were really good because I obviously had to go and have an interview and they said, you're fine, you can still join on your joining date. But I said, I can't do any contact. I can't literally, if anybody comes too close to my face with all these stitches. So I literally had sort of restricted combat duties for the first few weeks.
Were combat duties common in Cornwall?
You'd be surprised what happened in Cornwall. I put in the story. I was really glad I did my probationary period down there. I was Redruth, and then I moved to Helston. But Redruth was a brilliant kind of stomping ground for me, because I dealt with everything. Unlike the guys that were like in the big cities where they did foot patrol and gave out a few tickets.
Yeah.
I dealt with a really serious murder that made the national press, helped solve that. I dealt with all sorts of the major crimes, because down there, that's it. You're on duty and you get on with it. So
incredible. There's many stories to tell, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to do dinner sometime. No coriander involved, and hear some of those stories one of these days. And on the right here, this is Shelley Wren. I think I've bumped into Shelley on my travels here, head of business development for the Sovereign Group in Portugal there. So chatting about her life and, when she's not at work, what she likes to do in the Algarve there. That's Shelley Wren. And we meet an author every month, don't we? As well as, food groups. What's happening here, Shelley?
I do. The lovely Rui and Joel from Practice Portuguese. They let me loose on their website, and we do a little Portuguese lessons every month. So last month and this month, we've been looking at sort of the basic words for all the different food groups. So how to talk about fish and meat and cereals, milks, all the basic words. They're quite interesting when you see how those words are actually formed and how we actually, use Portuguese language to describe our food. I think it's quite a useful thing to know. So
okay. Roy and Joel, great fun learning Portuguese. We then practice Portuguese, and we've got Kirk Murray here with an unusual spelling of Kirk. What's Kirk's thing?
Well, Kirk wrote a really good book about a rescue dog and how it changed his life, really. How it was a very poignant personal story that he wrote about how his kind of memoir, if you like, of his young life, and how the dog rescued him as well, which is often the story, isn't it? It is. And now he's jumping over. He's going to start writing some sort of sweet romance, as I think they class the niche for romance. So that's a nice, clean, tidy, shut the door before anything happens kind of romance. So he's bringing out his first book this summer. So it'd be interesting. I think it'd be good. But his memoir was really good. It's a good book. So he's a real dog.
Okay, Sunsan and sweet romance, and a little bit of a puzzle. That's good. That's in the Snapshot, of course. Yeah. And photography feature where Dave shares some insight and some photographic skill in there as well. Bookshelf, memoirs with dogs in them. Very, very doggy episode or edition this month, isn't it?
Yes, why not?
Of course, as you would expect. And our favourite things, a few profiles and spotlights of photographer of the month, artist of the month, store of the month, and talent of the month. There, here in our little personal copy of Snapshot magazine that we preview every month with Alyson Sheldrake here, and another one of these wonderful portraits from the medieval festival at Silverstone. That's a stunner, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah, we've watched that boy grow up actually over the years. It's lovely to see, because a lot of the actors do come back each year. And you suddenly see this lad who's shot up in height, and you're like, oh, you're the kid from last year that we took that lovely photo of. You've really grown up. But some of them are stunningly good at really holding the lens and staring right into the camera. They get into role, I think. I think if you asked him normally to take a photo, you probably wouldn't get that, but because he's in his costume, he becomes a persona, and he acts that role for you in front of the camera, which
Dave's brought a kind of a stylization of these folks, these portraits here, and there's a similar, it's not haunted exactly, is it? And it's stopping short of familiarity and warmth. It's just something really engaging, and that's what's going on here with all of them, isn't it? It's like, I'm not quite. I mean, I want to know more, and is it safe to do so? Kind of interaction.
No, I think that's right, and I think that's, for me, the mark of a good portrait is one that has a story behind the eyes and that draws you in, and you think, who is this person? What, there's a life and there's a history, or there's a story in there that's behind that face almost. And if you're drawn in, that's wonderful, because that's what a good portrait should do. So I shall pass on your
Please do, send our love and compliments to Dave. Definitely.
Also, it's a compliment to these guys who are acting, really, isn't it? Because it's true, they do look very much in character. You know what I mean? You can visualize the person in that time scale of all the photos you've taken, actually.
Yeah, I'm just whizzing back to those two. Look at those two there.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you very much. The big question for Johnny, where can we order the magazine, please? How to do that, Ali?
Well, it's free. The last page that you had on the magazine there, you can see my website address, and you just literally subscribe. It's free every month. It will come into your inbox. There's never any charge for it. It's completely free. So just click on that.
AlysonSheldrake.com/news and get your free copy of Snapshot right there. It's 2 minutes past 10. We do get into some nice, easygoing chat here, and the time flies. I'm sure Fabrizio and Ian want to go and have a little look at Villeneuve de Montfort. You'll have things to do, Alyson, like avoiding coriander in the Algarve. What's in store today for you, Ali? What are you up to today?
Not a lot, actually. I have to confess. I know. Well, I've got a big art exhibition I'll tell you about next month, but I'm ready for it. So I've got all the paintings are done. So I try to time that well so that August can be a bit of a break, because it's a bit hotter and it's nice to just slow down a bit. So I meant to say to the boys, if you come down towards Algarve, give me a shout, because we'll meet up if you get that.
Well, for sure. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. And Fabrizio and Ian, what are you up to for the day today?
Breakfast. That's all we can plan so far. So
good for you.
They can't function without breakfast. I know
really good
so breakfast first, and I'll keep you posted.
Very good, very good. More pictures if you don't mind, if you can remember. Have a lovely time there, but don't go anywhere, because we've got our religious themed dad jokes this morning, which
wow.
But it's probably better than it sounds. The three wise men gave the baby Jesus gold and frankincense. But wait, there's myrrh.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear. Okay. Looks down. For his birthday, for his birthday, the Cardinal got a coupon for a free papacy. It was a gift pontificate. Okay. And mercifully, on this religious moment, if a Catholic marries a Catholic, is that considered a same-sex marriage?
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yes,
that's a good one. There you
go.
And I guess he does.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Have a fabulous time. The rest of your time over there in Alentejo, and not far across the border. We make it sound like two very separate places, there with the Alentejo and the Algarve, but they blur and blend together, don't they? Especially down there. Early years. Have a great day. Love to Dave, Zara, and everybody down there in the Algarve. Ali, and we'll see you again next month. Have a great day. We'll see you tonight.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Look, this is something you may want to. Sorry, I peaked a bit early there. But what we wish we'd known before moving to Portugal, we'll be talking about that at 7:30 this evening, while these guys are having dinner, probably in the Algarve and Alentejo, respectively. So see you at that and the Dream Team session from 9. But until then, have a super day in Portugal. Oh, here's the cat.
There he is.
That's amazing timing. Look at that.
Is that Jimmy Choo?
No, Jimmy Choo's the dog, and Peggy Poo is the other dog. And we've got Sebastian and Oliver so far with the names for these kittens here.
Wow.
So, wave goodbye, little Sebastian. Ciao. Thank you so much for being here.
Bye.
Bye.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings a bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. the audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.